We'll be talking about something important now, which is cyber security. Most of us have what we call a smartphone. And according to David Alozie, who is a digital economist, he said, this thing we are holding in our hands, they are our personal assistant. You have your bank details, you have your contact numbers, you have important issues, you have important pictures that are there as well. And there's something that trended a few weeks ago on Nigeria's internet. They called it wire, where if your phone gets missing and some cyber criminals get a hold of your phone or your SIM, they can, through that, even without your permission, withdraw money from your account. We want to see, how can that be stopped? That is what this video is about. I had a chat earlier on with Remi Afon, who is the president of the Cybersecurity Experts of Nigeria, and he gave us perspective on this issue and gives us advice on how we can keep our details safe, should in case a theft happens. Here's how the conversation went.
It is called wire. The moment I access your phone, I will go through the log on your phone and check your alert. After getting your alert, you can use it to access your BVN and log in and withdraw money from your account. I can also use it to borrow money from your account without your bank knowing I'm not the rightful owner of the phone.
Can you just give your reaction if you've watched the video? Your reaction to that video generally, then from there we'll continue.
Yeah, thanks. I had a look at that video. To be honest with you, I wasn't really shocked because this has been on for a very long time. That crime that that individual committed is related to the use of USSD in banking. USSD is unstructured supplementary service data, which allows users without internet access or data or smartphone to perform some basic operations like money transfer, check account balance, generate your statement, and so on and so forth, by using some code. So it's quite common. It's known that that is quite vulnerable, and people have to really take some measures to protect it. So it's not really new, to be honest. It's been on for a very long time.
So, I mean, this comes as a shock to so many people because they are now scared, There are implications arising from what the guy said. They're now scared. So if I misplace my phone or somebody steals my phone, then my account or my finances are not safe anymore. So there's this fear around, That's the reaction I'm getting from this side of life.
Yeah, exactly. So once your phone is stolen, they can easily get your SIM and, perform a lot of transaction on it. What they try to do is, first and foremost, most of them try to buy a kind of recharge card, with your phone, know your balance. Once they know the balance, then they will now be able to perform some other operations, to wipe your account. And there's also what they call a SIM swap, whereby, they try to go to, service provider, say, okay, they want to change their SIM, they lost their SIM, But now I think, all these service providers, telecommunication providers, they are requesting for ID, fingerprint verification before issuing a SIM swap. So these are kind of issues that we need to be aware of and be able to take some certain measures to protect ourselves.
Why does cybercrime seem to be on the rise in Nigeria? I mean, I dare say compared to other crimes, because most times in the news, the so-called Yahoo boys or cyber criminals we hear, aka Invictus and the rest of them, Hush Puppy, they're Nigerians. And there are a lot of them whose names are not on the news. So why is Nigeria somewhat on the map ahead of most other countries for cybercrime?
Cybercrime is a global phenomenon, it's a global problem. A lot of people just talk about Nigeria because there are some cybercrime associated with Nigeria, but there are some associated with some other countries, Russia, China, and North Korea as well. But, to answer your question, why is cybercrime on the rise in Nigeria. There are so many factors, if you look at the economic situation in the country, and that's not to, justify people going to cybercrime, but you discover that even from the university, that's when people get involved in cybercrime. For example, we noticed, my association, Cybersecurity Expert Association of Nigeria, we did a research towards the end of last year during the pandemic, and we noticed that a lot of university students get recruited into cybercrime. And why? Because ASU was on strike for a very long time, So ASU on strike, unemployment for, a lot of graduates, they had no choice. A lot of them just get into cybercrime. Although it's not, you can't do that, but sometimes people get frustrated and move into it.
Buttress on the roles individuals will have to play in protecting their data, um, and online activity, because people take it for granted in this part of the world.
Yeah, to be honest, there are so many things that one can do to protect ourselves. Let's start with that case study of, the same crime and USSD crime that people use your codes. First and foremost, don't share your sensitive information, like BVN, your PIN, your birth. I know a lot of people, they just give people their card, to go and withdraw money from the cash point, tell them their PIN number. Most of these crimes are always being performed by insider, people that have got information about you, maybe people living with you, even some connive with people working in the bank, which we call insider threats, So you need to keep all this information, because once you give someone your card, they can take a picture of the front and back and use it online. They know your PIN. When you are not available, they can even go and withdraw money. People do cash withdrawal, at any point in time, they can just go to a point and get your money. So these are sensitive information, what you post online as well, like your Facebook, on your date of birth, you put your dates of birth, celebrate your birthday. We don't say people should not celebrate their birthday, but that's how people get information about you. The gentleman was talking about using your DOB to get a lot of information. So those sensitive information, protect it. Then your activities online, ensure that you minimize what you share, and also be very conscious. For example, if your phone gets lost, quickly call the service provider to block it. Call your bank to block, inform them of that your SIM is locked, to dissociate that SIM card with your account, so that someone that has access to your SIM card will not be able to perform transaction on it. Yeah, just basic hygiene, really.
So apart from individuals, I believe that the banks, the financial institutions have a role to play here. I mean, these guys bypass financial institution security to be able to perform these tasks. Don't you think the financial security institutions here, like the banks and the rest of them, have a role to play in probably beefing up the security or something to ensure that people don't get, people don't cash out on other people's sweat?
Yeah, you're right. They have a role to play as well. They need to step up their security. We all know that the USSD is vulnerable to a lot of attacks, so they need to increase their security, come up with some two-factor authentication. It's not a matter of what you know alone, but what you have as well, so that you'll be able to protect yourself against, protect your customers, basically, against this kind of attack. Then also they have to look inward. There are some disgruntled elements as well, that might be conniving with criminals, So they need to continuously vet their staff, to be able to fish out the insider threats among them, So it's just a matter of stepping up the security, doing awareness for their customers as well, telling them what to do, because a lot of people don't know what to do if this kind of thing happens. So they should be able to educate their customers. I know the reason why they are using this USSD is for what we call a financial inclusion, so that people that are disadvantaged will be able to perform some basic operation as well. But the banks need to step up their game.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you that the banks need to step up their game. But don't you think the regulators policy shapers, the government, have a role to play in ensuring that this is nipped in the bud, putting into context the Nigerian situation?
Yeah, everybody have got their role as well. The government has got its role, the regulatory body, NCC, has got its role as well. They need to continue to perform oversight function on these, telecommunication firms to ensure that, some basic checks are in place, so that this kind of attack will be minimized. Also, we continuously audit them to ensure that they follow some basic security process and have some security controls in place. Also, the central bank has to continuously perform oversight function on the banks to ensure that, some banks are more secure than the other. I'm telling you that. I don't want to mention bank. I know some, there was someone that stole a phone, and I think it stole cards rather. It stole someone's wallet, and there are two banks there. So he tried the first bank, did a lot of stuff. The money didn't go, and he tried the other bank and was easy, and he performed the same operation on both of them. So that's to tell you that one bank more secure than the other. So these banks need to step up their game as well, and the CBN has to continuously perform regulatory function and ensure that security is in place. Security is key, because a lot of people are losing money based on this kind of attack.
You can give us step by step, in a summarized form, the ways we can protect, ourselves from falling into, this kind of crime.
Now, don't trust anybody. We in security, we're always very paranoid, because we don't trust anyone. So don't trust anyone. Even don't start giving your cards. I mentioned it earlier, to people and tell them your PIN to withdraw for you. A lot of big manism in Nigeria. You just call, your ward to go and let me collect this money from, ATM. So don't trust anybody. Make sure that your phone is secured. Although putting password PIN on it doesn't solve that problem, to be honest. But immediately you lose your phone, try to contact the service provider and tell them that you lost it. They should block that SIM immediately. Contact your bank to dissociate your SIM from to dissociate your number from your bank, so that by the time you sort it out, you can go back to them. So those are simple steps that we need to follow. You don't have to wait till later before you start making that phone calls, before contacting your banks. So I think that's what we can do now, really, to protect ourselves, because this thing will happen. It's just a matter of when.